On the 15th of January 2025, the Indian Navy did something it had never done before. In a single ceremony at a single dockyard in Mumbai, it commissioned 3 frontline warships simultaneously: a frigate, a destroyer, and a submarine, all built in India, all in one day. PM Modi called it a moment of national pride, and indeed it was.
ये पहली बार हो रहा है जब एक डिस्ट्रॉयर, एक फ्रिगेट और एक सबमरीन तीनों को एक साथ कमीशन किया जा रहा है। और सबसे गर्व की बात कि ये तीनों made in India.
India inducted about 33 ships and 7 submarines over the last decade, and the more impressive part is 39 out of these 40 naval vessels were built in Indian shipyards. Indian Navy commissioned 14 vessels, including a submarine in 2025, and 2026 was going to be even bigger. 19 warships commissioned in a single year, the largest annual fleet expansion in the Navy's history. And here is where the feel-good story ends, because currently not one destroyer, aircraft carrier or conventional submarine is under construction in any of the Indian shipyards. So has India's naval shipbuilding slowed down, and should we be worried? Let's find out. Hello guys, I am Saurav and welcome to the Arc. For decades after independence, India relied heavily on foreign warships. But slowly, India began building its own ecosystem. The Godavari class frigates, Delhi class destroyers, Shivalik class stealth frigates, and eventually some extremely ambitious indigenous programs. The Project 15B destroyers, the Nilgiri class stealth frigates under Project 17A, the Scorpion submarine program, and India's first indigenous aircraft carrier, INS Vikrant. India over the years built capacity and expertise to build all these ships at home. Today, Indian shipyards like Mazagon Dock Shipbuilders Limited, Garden Reach Shipbuilders and Engineers, Cochin Shipyard Limited are capable of building highly sophisticated warships almost entirely within India. That is a huge strategic achievement. But here is the problem. Most of these production lines are now winding down simultaneously. A modern warship, like a destroyer, a frigate, or a submarine, is one of the most sophisticated military platforms we build. It involves lots of complex parts, technologies, and specialized labor to build one warship. So from the moment such a ship is ordered to the moment that ship is commissioned into service takes about 10 years, sometimes even more. Take the example of Visakhapatnam class destroyers, India's most modern destroyers. The contract for 4 warships of the Visakhapatnam class was signed in 2011. The keel of the first vessel, INS Visakhapatnam, was laid in 2013. The ship was launched in 2015. Sea trials began in 2020. And finally, it was commissioned in 2021. So what we planned in the 2010s, we are getting now. But are we now building for the 2030s? Let's find out. India's Project 15B Visakhapatnam class destroyer program has effectively concluded with the commissioning of INS Surat in 2025. The next class of destroyers, Project 18, is a 10,000-ton next-generation design that has been on the drawing board for years. As of today, the project has not even received AON from the government, which means no destroyer to be built in the next 2 to 3 years, and no delivery till the mid-2030s. India currently operates 2 aircraft carriers, INS Vikramaditya, purchased second-hand from Russia, and INS Vikrant, India's first indigenously built aircraft carrier, which was commissioned in 2022. A second indigenous carrier, IAC-2, has been under discussion for years. IAC-2 would be similar in design and size to INS Vikrant, and it will replace INS Vikramaditya after its retirement. But formal government approval has not come. Indian Navy is hoping for its approval in this fiscal year. If it does, and if construction begins relatively quickly, the earliest IAC-2 could be commissioned is the late 2030s. That is, if everything goes to plan. But with Indian defense procurement, everything rarely goes to plan. Indian Navy also has plans for a bigger aircraft carrier, IAC-3, but I don't think it's going to see the light of day anytime soon. The Project 17A Nilgiri class frigates, 4 of which built by MDL and 3 by GRSE, is almost complete. The last 2 ships are in the shipyards of MDL and GRSE to be delivered by mid-2026. Once they are gone from the berths, no new major frigate order exists to replace them. There are also 2 Talwar class frigates being built at Goa shipyard, INS Triput and INS Tavasya. These are Russian designed ships. Once they are done around 2027, Goa shipyard's major warship order book is empty. Now coming to the submarines, it deserves its own conversation because the submarine story is not just about empty berths. It's about a strategic crisis that has been building over 26 years. India currently operates 16 conventional submarines. 4 of them are the Sishumar class, German-designed Type 209 submarines, acquired in the late 1980s. 6 more are the Sindhu Ghosh class, Soviet-era Kilo-class submarines, acquired between 1986 and 2000. That leaves 6 Calvary-class submarines, the Scorpions, built at Mazagon Dock under technology transfer from the French Naval Group, commissioned between 2017 and 2025. Despite life extensions, the Sishumar and Sindhu Ghosh class submarines are all more than 25 years old now and are nearing the end of their service lives. The Calvary class submarines, on the other hand, are genuinely capable and modern submarines, and they are currently the backbone of India's underwater fleet. Now watch what happens over the next decade. As the Shishumars and Sindhu Ghoshes retire, India's conventional submarine fleet falls potentially to as few as 6 operational boats before replacements begin to arrive. Just 6 submarines to patrol the Arabian Sea, the Bay of Bengal, and the vast Indian Ocean. From the Strait of Hormuz in the west to the Strait of Malacca in the east, to protect 7,500 kilometers of coastline and a 2.37 million square kilometer exclusive economic zone. But how did we get here? After the P-75 Scorpions, Indian Navy planned the P-75I program, 6 more advanced submarines with air-independent propulsion technology that allows a submarine to stay submerged far longer without snorkeling. P-75I was meant to keep the yards busy, maintain the industrial ecosystem, and a seamless advancement from the Scorpions to the next generation. But P-75I has been stuck since 2007. As of 2026, an agreement has been signed between Germany's TKMS and Mazagon Dock Limited. The deal worth $8 billion is expected to be signed this year. Now, even if the P-75I contract is signed this year, the first Type 214 submarine will not be commissioned before 2033-34, possibly later. But there is a deeper problem here than just numbers and timelines. Every conventional submarine India has ever operated has been designed by a foreign power. The Sishumars, German; the Sindhu Ghoshes, Russian; the Calvaries, French; and P-75I, German again. India has over 50 years of submarine operation, but has never designed and built a conventional submarine of its own. Yes, submarine design and development is extremely complex. But here is a story that we all need to know. South Korea bought German SSKs similar to India in the 1980s, but they didn't stop only at acquiring those, but doubled down on absorbing technology and pursuing their own design and development. But do you know what's the more embarrassing part is? South Korea offered the Indian Navy an advanced version of the same submarine in 2019 under the P-75I program. India meanwhile pursued the transfer of technology mirage. Yet, did not absorb the technology. Despite building these submarines at home, MDL built 2 German and 6 French submarines in India, yet could not produce its own design to build further. But hopefully things will change if everything goes according to plan. The Project 76, India's first genuinely indigenous conventional submarine program, is in pipeline. Under this program, India will build 6 diesel-electric submarines of 3000 ton displacement with 90 to 95% indigenous content. And beyond conventional submarines, India is also pursuing Project 77, nuclear-powered attack submarines. 6 SSNs, displacing 10,000 tons, armed with torpedoes and BrahMos cruise missiles, powered by a 190 megawatt nuclear reactor developed by the Bhava Atomic Research Center. Both the Project 76 and 77 are yet to take off. Hence, induction of this type of boats can only be expected after 2035. There are also plans for a follow-on order for 3 bigger Scorpion submarines to be built by MDL. On the SSBN front, however, things are moving quite well. In April this year, INS Aridman, India's third and bigger nuclear ballistic missile submarine, entered service, with 3 SSBNs of the Arihant class submarines now active, and the 4th one to join service soon. A bigger S5 class of SSBNs are also planned. India's shipbuilding slowdown is happening during the fastest naval expansion in modern history, in China. What China is building today will define the balance of power in the Indian Ocean for the next 30 years. China churns out a completed destroyer every 90 days. The Type 055, China's most advanced destroyer, displacing 13,000 tons, bristling with 112 VLS cells, takes only 3 to 4 years from the keel being laid to induction, against 6 to 7 years in our case. 10 ships of the Type 055 class destroyers have already joined service, with more on order. China operates about 60 submarines, 12 SSBNs, 6 SSNs, and around 40 conventional attack submarines. We are at 16 conventional submarines and 3 SSBNs and 0 SSN. Today, China's PLA Navy operates approximately 370 ships and submarines and is already the world's largest navy. By 2030, that number is projected to reach 435. India is targeting 175 ships by 2035. A target that, given the current ordering rates, already looks optimistic. But raw numbers only tell part of the story. PLA Navy sailing through Indian Ocean waters. That Indian strategists have long considered their own strategic backyard, with increasing frequency and confidence. And underlying all of this is an industrial reality that cannot be ignored. When China decides it wants more ships, the decision translates into steel in the water within a few years. And we are still stuck with the endless cycle of RFI, RFP, negotiations, foreign collaborations, and transfer of technology. It's not all gloom though. There are things that we have done right. We have built a 45,000 ton aircraft carrier. Our indigenous P-15 classes of destroyers, P-17 class of frigates are state-of-the-art ships, one of the best in the world. Our SSBN program presents a level of strategic technology that only a handful of nations on Earth possess and is advancing well. But the industrial ecosystem that produces warships is not a tap that you can turn on and off. It is a living system of engineers, welders, system integrators, project managers, supply chains, and institutional knowledge that requires continuous work to stay sharp. Going back to where we started, India is currently not building a new destroyer, a new aircraft carrier, a new conventional submarine, or a nuclear attack submarine. A navy is not built one commissioning ceremony at a time. It is built in the unglamorous years between the celebrations, when the contracts are signed, the keels are laid, and the shipyard berths are full. Right now, too many of these berths are empty, and the ocean is not waiting.